Well, I've never been on retreat, so I was picturing a bunch of old guys not saying anything, and I know that was not my kind of retreat. That would not be a way for me to spend a couple days, but it was nothing like that. It was totally hard to describe. It was my first retreat ever, so it was outstanding.
That I needed that time with God. So I knew, God takes out time for us all the time. So I knew I needed to take that time for Him.
When you went on retreat, did you have any problems getting off of work to do this?
Well, I'm a teacher, and I had to accommodate the fact that I was going to miss a day of lecture, and again, most teachers would suggest that's a pretty difficult thing to do. You just find some buddies who'll cover your class, you make good preparations, and it works out. You come back and catch up on Monday.
Was it hard? I know you have young children. Was it hard for you or for Peggy when you were going to be gone for the whole weekend?
I think at the time that I made my first retreat, Isabel was 9 and Zachary must have been 4. And I think for my wife and I, it was just this commitment that we made to each other, that she would kind of step up and play single mom for the weekend. It was a gift to me to be able to do that. And then several months later, when she made her retreat, I got the pleasure, and it really was, of being able to spend the weekend with my kids, and it was just about them and not about anybody else. And we had a wonderful time. They missed me terribly, but we also did some really cool things.
So I said, yeah, why not? I said, well, I asked him what would go on during the retreat. He said, you'll get to meet a lot of guys that you don't know from church, and then some of the guys you will know, you'll get to know them better.
Wonderful program, a wonderful experience, and people talk about not wanting to take the time away from work or whatever, but it's really, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's one day from work, really, and the time that you get to spend and just be away from all the day-to-day distractions, I think, is so powerful.
How do you feel that the retreat affected you?
For me, the retreat changed my life. I went through a lot. I had gone through a lot of hard times, and afterwards, I was a different person. My marriage was different. My relationship with my daughter was different. It absolutely changed my life.
What I saw in these talks and in these interactions were guys who were having the same problems that I was, who were struggling to be fathers, and how they managed over the years and had their successes. And it was inspirational to me, and it also kind of said that, it told me that even though I may have my faults and I may stumble every once in a while, that if I just keep God as the center of my life, that working through Him and the Holy Spirit, that I can do this thing, this fatherhood thing, and do it better than I ever imagined.
It's hard to describe. It made me a much more positive person. Just in general, it's so spirit-filled. I just came home a happier, more relaxed person. That was kind of there's all different levels of how did you come back changed. That's kind of the everyday level that everybody sees. Then there's the heart level of how you're changed. That's harder to describe and not necessarily something that everybody sees. And that's going to be different for everybody.
I think more patient would be a good way of more at peace. I think we spend so much time running the kids to this event or that event, or we have to do this for work or that for work, but we just don't take 5 minutes to spend on ourselves, and it was a great way to spend 3 days with just me and God, and something for me.
So many ways. Spiritually, mostly spiritually, getting me back to church. I had never really heard the scriptures in the homily before. After retreat, I could really connect with the parish priest, be it Father Telhor, Father Jim, and really connect with that homily and really hear the words.
Relationship with God was different. The experience for me was so powerful. I can't even put it all into words how amazingly powerful that experience was for me.
How do you think this would have impacted your family had you had the opportunity to do this at a younger age?
Big time, I think. You know, if I had done it when my girls were younger, I think I would have been a better mom, had more patience, and just dealt with certain things differently than I had.
Do you think it would have made you any different as a dad?
Oh, sure. It would have made me much more patient. You know, you really, you see things that you thought were so important back then, and you realize that they're not really as important as you think they are at that time. I've known a lot of people in this parish since I've been in it for over 35 years. And when I was running with my kids and playing ball, you get to know people at the ball games and the sporting events and things like that. But I really didn't get to know them. I mean, I knew them, it was hi and say, hi, how are you? Hi, Wendy. But that was it. We'd walk out of church, we'd leave the ball game. And once I went on this retreat, I really got to know people. It wasn't so much a hi, and then when I go to church on the weekends or any other time, it was a great opportunity to reacquaint ourselves more than just a hi and to actually have a nice conversation and not necessarily all about sports, that we could share our love of God and our love of church. So I wish I would have been able to do it when my kids were a lot younger.
And that was just such a wonderful experience to become friends with 60 new people. And some of them I knew already, but some, you know, I didn't know. And so that's what's, I think, really wonderful about the program is that it really builds community.
I think my wife probably noticed the biggest difference in that I was probably a little more eager to do things that helped build the family.
My experience of going to Mass on the weekend, more meaningful because I feel like I'm with family.
It's the best 3 days. Yeah, it's 3 days away from your family, but it's going to be a lifetime of changes.
And what would you say to the other young women in your situation, married, working mothers, regarding attending an Acts retreat?
I would say find the time, take the time. It's the best gift that you can give yourself. It's more rewarding than you can ever imagine.